What's going on, everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name is Mike Emil. Behind me I have my 2021 Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus, which I've had for about 4 or 5 months right now. I just surpassed the 5,000 mile mark on this car and figured this is the perfect time to give you an updated review on what my thoughts are on the car so far. This is my first EV. My prior car was a 2019 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, so definitely a bit of a difference. In my first review of the Tesla, after owning it for approximately 2 months, I gave you some of the basic things that I liked about the car, a couple things that I didn't, but I thought with this review, after driving the car for 5,000 miles, I would give you some of the more in-depth and important features and things that I love about the car. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this video and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the car's autopilot function. It is by far one of my favorite features of this car. After driving this car for over 5,000 miles, more of which have been done on the highway on long distance road trips, I can easily tell you that Autopilot is an absolute dream to have. Autopilot really allows you to focus more on your surroundings, so you're more aware of the cars around you. You're not as fatigued as well, so going on long distance road trips, especially braking up to charge, I happen to find that it made the drive a lot more enjoyable, and I was able to get to my destination without being fatigued. So when I did my trip from South Florida up to South Carolina, which was about 600 miles, I actually got there after 11 hours in the car between charging and driving, and I wasn't tired, I wasn't fatigued like you normally would. I was actually able to still stay up and enjoy some time with my friends before going to bed that day. So Autopilot has definitely made driving this car that much more enjoyable. When I'm on the highway, 99% of the time I have the car in autopilot, and I only take it out of that whenever I need to either change lanes or I'm getting on and off the highway, and that's really it. So if you're considering whether or not you want to go for the full self-driving or the basic autopilot that the car comes with, I highly recommend just sticking with the basic autopilot. You can always add the full self-driving later on, or Tesla does now offer a full self-driving subscription. So if you wanted to, when you get your car, you could always test it out for a month or two and try and see if you like it, and then add it if you really wanted to. But for me, the basic autopilot does more than enough. It does everything that I want this car to do, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so the next thing that I want to cover is the over-the-air updates from Tesla. Now, just like you would update apps on your phone, Tesla does over-the-air updates to constantly be updating different features. Tesla just released some updates that were really huge, things that I was really hoping for. In the couple months that I've owned this car, they've released at least half a dozen updates. The most recent of which was really huge. It gives you live access to your Sentry cameras, so while your car is parked, you can now go into the cameras directly from the Tesla mobile app and see what's around the car. This is a huge update, something that I've definitely wanted for a while. The other was also an update to the mobile app where it now allows you to set your charging schedule as well as set a time of departure so the car can precondition itself. Now, that will allow the car to adjust the cabin temperature as well as precondition the battery and warm the battery up. So definitely a big feature, especially if you live somewhere in a colder climate where in the morning you want to have the car nice and toasty warm and have the car ready to go for you. Vice versa, it also helps in places like where I live in South Florida, where it tends to be very hot, and allows the car to cool off so that the car is ready to go when you are. I really love that Tesla continually updates the car because it really shows that they're listening to their consumers and constantly doing what they can to make the car that much more enjoyable. Okay, so the third thing that I want to talk about is one pedal driving. Thanks to the regenerative braking function of the car, I touched base on this very briefly in my first review, but I have to touch base on it again because it is such an important feature of the car. Over the last couple months since that first review, I've gotten even more used to driving the car this way. It really makes driving so much easier. I tend to find myself rarely ever even moving my foot from the accelerator over to the brake pedal, so much so that when I get into my fiance's ice car and start driving it, I almost forget that I have to use the brake. So those first few seconds are a bit of an adjustment, but we tend to take this car anytime we have to go anywhere together over the weekend. It just makes driving so much easier. The car slows itself down, it pulls energy back in. It's just an absolute great feature, and it's one that I felt needed to be covered in this video because it is that amazing. Okay, so the next thing that I want to touch base on is actually specific to my standard range plus. Now the car is rated to do 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. That may seem a bit slow to some, considering that Teslas are known for having some pretty steep acceleration. But I will say this, I have never had an issue with the acceleration of this car. My last car was a 2019 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk with a V6 engine, so that had some pep to it. But something that you get with an EV is the instant power that goes right to the wheels. I tend to find that even with this car and this model, I have great acceleration. I don't ever have any issues overtaking people on the highway. I could be doing 50 or 60 miles per hour, need to get around someone, and this car will instantly react and take off. I happen to really love it. I have no issues with it. I'm very happy that I went with the Standard Range Plus, both for its mileage, acceleration, and everything that it has to offer. So the next thing that I want to touch base on is the customability of this vehicle. Now, I did a video recently where I did a complete walkthrough of the screen and the car settings. One of the things that I really love is that you can have multiple driver profiles, but you can do more than you can with most typical vehicles. So other vehicles that have the ability of having multiple driver profiles are typically just going to adjust the seat, maybe the steering wheel, the side view mirrors, but Tesla goes a step past that and also allows you to adjust how the steering wheel feels while you're driving, how the car accelerates, whether or not you even want regenerative braking on. This adds just that little bit extra to each person's driver profile. For example, I happen to like the faster acceleration, the sport steering on the car, as well as the regenerative braking, whereas my fiance is not a huge fan of the regenerative braking and likes a bit more of a smoother feel. So we're able to have different driver profiles, which allows when either one of us is driving to automatically have those settings set, so we don't have to be constantly going in to change them. This really is a great added feature. I happen to really love it. It just makes this car that much more amazing. And the last topic that I want to cover in this video pertains to the white interior of the car. Now, I was a bit skeptical about getting the white interior from the beginning, but I really wasn't a huge fan of the black interior with that wood finish. I am glad that I ended up going with the white. After 5,000 miles of driving this car, I can tell you that I do not notice any visible changes, stains, wear on the seats. So I just wanted to show you guys what the seats look like now. There's no major stains. I have not had any issues cleaning this car or keeping it clean. The seats still look brand new, and even the driver's seat, as you can see, really has no major issues. So overall, I'm very happy that I went with that white interior. I'm glad that I've been able to keep it clean and that I've had no major issues so far. So that about wraps up this video. Once again, I appreciate you guys watching. My name is Mike Emil, and as always, we will see you in the next video.